Did you did you get a haircut?
No, just brush, brush, brush.
Okay, it looks good.
Hairspray, hairspray, hairspray. I wouldn't have this back.
Nice. You look like a hockey player. I think you are. Let's first talk about the Leafs overtime loss. How upset were you?
Well, it was a golden opportunity to close the series off, and it was a great come from behind game where they're down 3-0, tied it up 3-3. I blame my wife though. She watched the entire game until overtime, and then she left. She's a bit of a good luck charm, so I don't think she should have gone to bed. I'm going to have that dispute resolution with her before Game 6 to let her know she needs to watch the entire game.
Okay, good, good. With fans in the stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just glad that Suzuki scored. He's half Japanese, so same here. So that's the only thing I'm happy about. So okay, let's talk about serious stuff. There is the new aggressive vaccination strategy that was announced today. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the more people that get second doses, the better. If you look at where Canada is compared to the United States on second doses, we are miles and miles behind. And the first dose gives some immunity, but it's not you're not fully vaccinated. There's a reason they want 2 doses. And so, if you look at the efficiency of some of these vaccines on 1 dose against the variants, some of the studies suggest it can be minimal. So we have to get our population vaccinated. We need to get particularly our vulnerable seniors vaccinated with their second doses. And so I'm encouraged that the timetable is being sped up. But frankly, it's frustrating that we still have a supply challenge in Canada. Here we are a year and a half into the pandemic, and we're still challenged by a lack of supply.
Have we not learned anything from the first round? We're asking 80 plus to get their second shot without any help. Do you find this to be kind of, I guess, disturbing, or not disturbing, but like kind of frustrating?
Well, I think the bigger issue is supply, not the willingness to get a shot. What we found in the first round is that there was very little hesitancy between those 80 plus, and whether it was getting loved ones to take them to get the vaccine, or whether it was mobile clinics that were set up in long-term care centers or congregate living, getting the population to get vaccinated wasn't the biggest challenge. The challenge was supply. And so if there's a lesson to be learned from the first go around, is why are we still desperately pleading for supply?
Sure. Now that PO is no longer getting over allocated with vaccines, now it sounds like, I think on your Wednesday presser, you said we're being under allocated. Is a region or Brampton doing anything about this to try to bump that up, to that 11% threshold?
So what the province has said is they're going to focus on getting the entire province their first dose before they go to second doses. And so in Peel region, until a broader second dose strategy is announced, unfortunately, we'll be getting under our per capita allocation.
Okay. And what do we do with these anti-vaxxers? I hate to say, they might be holding, the entire economy back. Like, how do we get them on board?
Well, I would say if you get vaccinated, you're protecting your friends, your family, and your community. And for those that spread false information about vaccine safety, it only hurts our ability to get back to normal. I would say those individuals are in the minority. I don't think it's going to prevent us from getting herd immunity because we've seen a broad interest in getting vaccinated. And so I wouldn't pay too much attention to it because it hasn't created vaccine hesitancy that has slowed down our ability, at least in Peel region, to get our population vaccinated.
Okay. Maybe just tell them that they can't go to Cuba without the vaccination and see what happens. I'm sure they'll be in line. Here's a question. When are the non-essential aisles going to be open again?
So once again, this is going to be a provincial decision. They've said they want to get the province at a certain vaccine threshold before they'll have a broader reopening. If anything, I think it's very incremental, the provincial reopening. If you look at other provinces, Quebec, Alberta, the list goes on, it's more aggressive, and I think the provincial government could be a little more relaxed in its reopening. Let me give you an example. Why can't fully vaccinated individuals be at a sporting event? I'd say let's get all the healthcare workers who've got both vaccines and tell them, yeah, for fully vaccinated healthcare workers, they can watch the next Leaf game. Why not say that, given the fact the science table has said outdoor spaces are safe, why don't we open outdoor patios right now? And so I do think there is some leeway for some relaxing of the rules that the province is being overly cautious on.
The stay-at-home order ends June 2nd, and the step one starts June 14th. What happens in between those purgatory days that we have no idea what's going on?
Well, there's some rumors the province may speed up that reopening, so let's hope they do. I think it would make a lot of sense for them to start that reopening in the same day the stay-at-home order expires. But ultimately, these will be provincial decisions.
Is that what you've been hearing?
There has been some talk about a willingness to expedite the reopening, but it's only rumors at this point.
Okay. May 2-4 has come and gone. Any major tickets that happened over the long weekend or this week?
So bylaw was busy. There was a number of social gatherings, but most people were collaborative and worked with bylaw and Peel Police. Once informed that they may have been inconsistent with the provincial emergency rules, they adapted. So I was pleased with the level of collaboration.
All 4 fulfillment centers, Amazon fulfillment centers, are closed. How bad is the situation at Amazon? And do you know how many workers have been affected by COVID? I mean, it's all 4 of them now.
So Amazon is no different than other essential workplaces and factories. They've all been on the front lines of COVID. And I'm glad that we've taken a strict approach to these factories. Before, it was you couldn't touch anything related to the supply chain, and our numbers were sky high. Now that we've taken the strict approach with factories and we've got more people vaccinated, our numbers are down dramatically. And so I think it speaks to the fact that the approach is working. And so it's not just Amazon. Amazon is one business of 400 plus workplace outbreaks we've had. But it speaks to the fact that those working in these crowded food processing factories, logistics factories, they're in the front lines of the pandemic and continue to be unsung pandemic heroes because they've helped maintain Canada's supply chain despite perils to their own health.
What do you think of Doug Ford asking, the medical specialists about the kids going back to school? What kind of strategy or tactic was this?
Well, I'm actually going to credit the Premier on that one. I'm glad that he's reaching out to the public health officials. I'm glad he's reaching out to, impressive institutions like Sick Kids that have a strong scientific and medical background on safety for children. And so listening to the experts is a trait of leadership, I believe. Not, seeing what the polls say and just following that direction, but making informed decisions. And so I think he's taken the right approach on this. I know locally, Dr. Lowe has said that the last place to close should be schools and the first place to reopen should be schools, and that we're in a position here in Peel that it's probably time to have children back in school. It's good for their mental health. It's good for ability to learn. Online learning only goes so far. And so I am optimistic that once the provincial government hears the medical advice, hears from medical officers at health like our own, and Dr. Williams, who's been clear that he wants to see kids in school, maybe we'll be able to salvage part of the year.
Oh, so you think the kids might go back by the end of this school year?
If the provincial government makes their decision based on the advice of the public health officials, then yes, because the public health officials seem to suggest that it's time.
Here's a question by a viewer. Do you think it's time to lift the suspension of the garbage exemption? It's been over a year. People have a lot of garbage.
So we've had this discussion at regional council that there should be some accommodation for the fact that people, when you stay at home, you accumulate more garbage. That's not to say we don't want people to compost and recycle and be very efficient with the amount of waste they produce, but I think there needs to be some understanding that with a stay-at-home order, it's natural that families are going to produce more garbage. And I can relate. You got 2 under 2. That's a lot of diapers. And I know there's a lot of families that are in that position. So I do think there should be some accommodation for the notion that families are at home.
Sure. What do you think of these quarantine hotels possibly getting scrapped? Do you have a stance on that?
Well, I'm concerned about variants entering the country through the airport. We've seen that happen with significant damage in Peel region. But both the land border, which there seems to be no restrictions, and the airport have been too loose. And so if everything's open, then I would say, sure, loosen restrictions at the airport. But everything's not open. The notion that you can travel internationally, but you can't go to a patio outdoors is a head scratcher. So you can go to a hotspot somewhere in the world, a COVID hotspot, no problem, come back, but you can't go to a local pub to the patio to watch a playoff game.
True. And last question, probably the toughest. Leafs in what?
I'm hoping that it's going to be Leafs in 6. They got a great team. They've always rebounded throughout the year. So I'm hoping for a Leafs in 6.
That's going to hurt the 2,500 people that are in the stands, but
I am perfectly okay with that. We can have all the hurt feelings we want to Montreal that night. It's the Montreal's had enough success. How many Stanley Cups have they won? It is they can afford some hurt feelings.
Good point. All right, Mayor Brown, thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.